Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, UFC is returning to Atlantic City at Boardwalk Hall for the first time in 13 years. There's been a couple other venues around the city since 13 years ago, but being back at Boardwalk Hall is a big venue. And the main event is Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee. And joining me right now on the phone line on the Boardwalk Honda hotline is Kevin Lee. Kevin, how you doing today?
I can't complain, my man. They picked the right man for the job.
You know, it's funny you mentioned you're the right man for the job, because one of the things about you that I think some people overlook is that you in some ways are a throwback to the way MMA was 15, 20 years ago. You know, guys who had wrestling backgrounds, who made their way, earned their opportunity, worked their way up the ladder to get bigger and better fights. And also, you're not shy away from the microphone. You're a guy who goes out there, speaks your mind. You're afraid of nobody. And I think in a lot of ways, it's refreshing to see a guy like you not just getting opportunities, but also being successful when given those opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I've had the long road to get here. I think that's what you need, especially to get that competition out the way. You know, I've got a lot of rounds in the octagon. So, you know, it's not just all just talk. I'm putting in my work, and I've been doing it for years. Like you said, I come from that wrestling background. I've got that competition experience. I know how to compete with these dudes. And, you know, I think the one difference between me and guys from 15 years ago is when I got into wrestling, I did it with the intent of getting into MMA. So I'm a little more well-rounded, and I feel like since I started this sport, my number one goal was to be the most well-rounded fighter, most well-rounded individual, most well-rounded person that you met. So I'm well on that way.
You know, Boardwalk Hall is also the home for the New Jersey State High School Wrestling Championship. So it's kind of apropos that a guy like you, with your wrestling background, would be part of the main event, because people overlook the fact that wrestling is arguably the best base discipline for MMA, because MMA, it's not like a boxing match. It's not just two guys striking. There's so many aspects that go into mixed martial arts. And as a guy like you knows, if you can't grapple, if you are afraid of being held by somebody, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, and I tell that to all the guys that I get so many people that ask me, how do I get into MMA? What do I do? I got a kid, I got a young kid or something, and I always tell them, get into wrestling. Not only will it teach you how to move your body, but it teaches you how to move somebody else. You know, how to the leverage points in every fight, even in boxing matches. I mean, these guys get into wrestling clinches all the time. Wrestling, I think, it has been the key to fighting for centuries and centuries. And we just trying to refine it. We just trying to. You got to be able to do it all. But like you said, I think it's inbred in us, and I'm happy to be there here in New Jersey, putting on for the culture.
Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. April 21st, Kevin Lee taking on Edson Barboza. Kevin, you come from Detroit. You're a guy who's very proud of your background and where you come from. Talk about how your background has made you not just into the fighter you are today, but the man you are today.
That it's always going. I've been living in Vegas for the past 3 years, but I still feel that like that same kid that grew up with nothing, that grew up in Detroit, and it's just going to be in me. A couple years ago, Dana had made a quote saying that it's so hard for a fighter to live in Vegas and thrive. And it's like, when you come from where I come from, it's nothing. Like, it's just stay disciplined. I still keep the same mentality going into each one of these, depending, no matter how much money I've made, no matter how much bigger the event is, or how much more spotlight is on me. I'm still the same kid. I'm still the same man that I was. So I give a lot of that to my background, my upbringing, and I'm always put on for them.
I've heard you say multiple times, not just before you got matched up with Edson Barboza, but for other fights as well, you like to be challenged. You've said you like the challenge. What is it about Barboza that fits that definition of what is a challenge for you?
I mean, the man, all you got to do is look at his tape. The man has a lot of experience. He's explosive. He's fast. If I slip up, he going to put my lights out. I like that a little bit. You know, a lot of these fighters, they shy away from it. They want the money fight. They want the easy fight. They want tune-up fights after they lose or something like that. And I'm like, man, I'm a competitor. Let's get in there. Let's see what it's about. You know, win, lose, or draw. It's gonna be a learning experience. I'm still so young in this sport. I've still got so many years left. So The biggest challenges that I can find, that's what I'm always looking for. Yeah, I could call out and try and fight McGregor, the little fella, or something like that. But I'm with the biggest challenges is just to see for myself, so I can sleep at night and sleep good. So I feel like I've done that right with this fight, and I think it resonates with the people, the fans. The fans really see when you get two hungry competitors in there. It comes out during the fight.
You mentioned you're not afraid of challenges. I remember watching you after one of your fights when you were talking with Tony Ferguson on TV. Say, hey, let's do it right now. I'm ready to go. You have this, you just don't have a fear in you. And I think that appeals to a lot of people, because a lot of times when we look at fighters, when we look at athletes, we want them to, fulfill an image that we have of what they should be. And to me, a guy like you, when you fight guys like Ferguson and guys like Barboza and all these different guys, that is something I think a lot of people can look at and say, that is something that I can appreciate in my athlete. Because we live in a world now, Kevin, where, listen, a lot of guys, they shy away from things. Let's be realistic. We live in a soft society. And as a result, I think that we want our fighters to be someone like you, which is tough. And I think that for you, you have an opportunity, not just in this fight, but moving forward, to really separate yourself from a lot of guys.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the biggest goals of my career, and I think you really have to. I try to make it bigger than myself. There's so much more that I'm fighting for. There's so many more people that are looking at me and seeing what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to put on for them. So when I make it bigger than myself, I said after that last fight I wanted to take some time, but I'm just it's bigger than me. So. It's people that's fighting through a lot worse than having to fight a guy like Edson. I mean, it's just, that's the reality of it. So really, when I rationalize it with myself, at the end of the day, I'm a man. So we gonna get in there, we gonna fight, and I'm gonna enjoy the process along the way, and I'm gonna learn a lot from it.
What is the thing that you learned most from the Tony Ferguson fight?
It's that experience. It's the experience. It's that. It's that competition. A lot of people, they shy away from these losses, but really it's the loss where you really learn a lot about yourself more than anything. Even so more than about Tony. Yeah, I might have picked up his style a little bit. I might have picked up his timing a little bit, but outside of that fight, the fight being so big, it being my first pay-per-view, it being in Las Vegas, and there was so much going on that week. It really taught me about myself and how I handle stress, and I think that kind of came out during the fight. My inexperience to handle that stress, it became more than a mental thing. You could see it physically in me. So this time, I feel like I'm gonna be more prepared for that. And I'm looking to go out there and put on a good show. The mind and the body will be right, and everything will follow.
What's your walk around weight when you're not training, Kevin?
I'm normally about 188, 189, but I've made a lot of changes to my diet recently and walking around in the low 180s.
You mentioned changes to your diet. What kind of changes have you made, especially since you've been doing this for a little while now? You've got, you got 20 professional fights now. So what is the biggest diet change you make? I think a lot of people don't understand that as a fighter, how much time you guys spend not just training, but also perfecting your diet.
It's a learning experience. If you talk to 10 dietitians, they're going to give you 10 different answers. It's about learning your body and understanding how it works. For me, recently, I've been going like a lot more low carb, a lot higher fats. I just work with it. I work with it. I see what I do, and each time I do this, each time I get these weight cuts out of my system and get these diets down, I feel like I'm doing better with them. So it changes with age. Everything is a little bit different. One thing that works for one guy ain't gonna work for another. So it's a learning experience.
All right, real quick before I let you go, and I really appreciate your time today, let's give the audience an opportunity to get to know you, Kevin Lee, a little better. You ready for a little rapid fire?
Let's do it. I'm always down with it.
All right, what's your favorite movie?
Ooh, right out the gate. Let's see. I don't want to give you a recent one. I was talking about Rocky 3 earlier. It's probably Rocky 3.
What's the food that you look forward to most after a fight?
Definitely a good steak. Good steak, for sure.
How you like the steak done?
Oh, medium rare. That's the only way it can be done. Lots of butter, medium rare, little bit of thyme, rosemary.
Favorite superhero?
Black Panther. Come on, what are we doing?
Come on, I got to ask.
I met the man last night. I got to, Black Panther for sure.
Speaking of that, you were at the Sixers game last night. How was that experience for you?
Oh, it's amazing. Those folks know how to put on a show. It was amazing. It's from start to finish, entertained the whole time, and really show you a lot about sports and the game, huh?
Favorite and least favorite thing about the MMA world?
My favorite thing is probably the lifestyle. Waking up every day, training, getting to do what I love. Least favorite would. That's a tough one. Least favorite probably that weight cut. Yeah, it probably the weight cut. If they made more weight classes, not only would I compete more often, but I wouldn't have to worry about it as much either.
If money was no obstacle, what kind of car would you buy?
Ooh, definitely a coupe. Audi. Audi probably. A little R8.
Very nice. And finally, before I let you go, tell the audience out there, for those who may have only seen you fight a couple times or haven't seen you fight that much, let them know, give them a reason why they should go to Ticketmaster.com right now and buy tickets to see you versus Barboza on April 21st.
For the future. I'm showing the evolution of the fight game. So, like I said, I'm going to be the most well-rounded fighter. If you want to come along for the journey, you come. Because it's going to be around for a long time.
You can follow him on Twitter at Motown Phenom. He is Kevin Lee fighting Edson Barboza at UFC in Atlantic City, April 21st. Tickets on sale right now at Ticketmaster.com. Kevin, appreciate the time and best of luck to you in the fight, and we'll see you there.
My man, appreciate you.